In days long past, when the judges ruled and the land lay weary from war and wandering, the voice of the Lord had grown silent. Prophets were few, visions rare, and hearts cold. The ark of God still rested in Shiloh, but reverence had faded and corruption had crept into the courts of worship. Yet among the hills of Ephraim, in the shadows of obscurity, a storm stirred not in the skies, but in the soul of a woman. Her name was Hannah, barren, broken, mocked. Each year, her family would journey to Shiloh to worship the Lord of hosts. Elkanah, her husband, loved her more than words could hold, but his love could not unwrite what the Lord had written. Hannah's womb remained closed. The silence of heaven mirrored the silence in her body, but not in her spirit.
Hannah, why do you weep? Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons?
Your love is kind, but it cannot cradle what I long for.
So year after year, the pattern repeated. Pilgrimage, sacrifice, celebration, and sorrow. Peninnah, the other wife, mother of many, would sting Hannah with words sharpened by envy, not compassion. But Hannah did not strike back. Instead, she turned her face to the one who hears beyond words. And one year, she rose from the meal with her heart burning, not with anger, but with holy desperation. She entered the temple alone, and there at the threshold of the holy place, her destiny would be forever altered. Inside the sacred courts, Hannah knelt. Her shoulders trembled, her soul, crushed beneath years of silence and shame, finally shattered, not in despair, but in surrender. She spoke, not with voice, but with spirit. Her lips moved, but no sound came forth. Only God heard, and it was enough. In her brokenness, she made a vow, not a bargain, but an offering.
If you will look upon my affliction, if you will remember me, if you will give me a son, then I will give him to you all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head.
It was the prayer of a heart that had nothing left except faith. But not all who see the temple see the truth.
How long will you be drunk? Put away your wine.
My Lord, I am not drunk. I am a woman troubled in spirit. I have poured out my soul before the Lord.
The old priest blinked. His judgment faded into reverence. He had mistaken devotion for disgrace. But now, he recognized something ancient in her anguish. A fire not kindled by flesh, but by the Spirit. His voice changed, his posture softened, and in that moment, a priest spoke on behalf of a God who had not spoken in years.
Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him.
May your servant find favor in your eyes.
Hannah returned to her home in Ramah, not with a child in her arms, but with peace in her soul. Something had shifted, though nothing had changed yet. She no longer wept through sleepless nights. Her appetite returned. Her laughter, though quiet, came freely again. Because sometimes faith speaks before sight, and hope sings before fulfillment. Then, in the quiet rhythm of days that followed, heaven moved. Scripture does not record thunder, fire, or angelic visitation. It only says this: the Lord remembered her, and in due time Hannah conceived. A child, formed not only in the womb, but in prayer, grew within her. When he was born, she held him close and named him
Samuel, because I asked the Lord for him. You are not mine to keep, little one, you are his. Every breath of yours will echo the promise I made.
Time passed. The baby became a toddler, full of life and wonder. Hannah sang to him songs of the Lord. She taught him to clasp his hands, to listen for the quiet voice that calls in the dark. But in her heart, she counted the days. For the vow she made was not a poet's metaphor, but a binding offering. And when the boy was weaned, still young, still small, Hannah wrapped him in linen and journeyed once more to Shiloh. This time, not with empty hands, but with open ones. They arrived in Shiloh, Hannah Elkanah and the child Samuel, no longer a barren woman, no longer a silent heart. In her arms, she carried the answer to her tears. In her spirit, she carried a promise too sacred to break. With her offerings prepared, young bull, an ephah of flour, and wine, she approached the priest Eli once more. But this time, not in anguish, but in testimony. She pointed to the child and said,
I am the woman who stood here beside you, praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. Now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will be given over to him.
And there, at the foot of the altar, a child was not just offered. He was consecrated, not as a servant, not as a symbol, but as a seed planted into the soul of a nation.
This child is the echo of a vow. I give him, not to the temple, not to you, but to the Lord who heard me.
Then let him grow in the house of the Lord, and may the word of God dwell richly in him.
They worshipped there, not with trumpet blasts or royal feasts, but with tears, prayers, and sacred silence. That day, Hannah left her son behind, not abandoned, but entrusted. Her hands released him, her heart never would. And Samuel remained in Shiloh, a child among men, a voice yet to speak, a prophet yet unborn, but already heard by God. Seasons passed. Festivals came and went. Shiloh remained holy, but not untouched by corruption. Samuel, still a boy, now walked the temple halls. Each morning he would rise to sweep the courts. Each evening he would bow in prayer before the ark. He learned the names of sacred things: the laver, the lampstand, the veil. But what warmed his soul most was something softer than linen and older than tradition. Every year, when the time came for pilgrimage, she returned. Not with demands, not with tears, but with love, stitched into cloth, a small robe woven by the same hands that once rocked him to sleep, threads of wool, threads of memory, threads of worship.
This robe is too small already. Looks like someone is growing faster than I can sew.
It still smells like home.
Elkanah would offer sacrifices. Eli would bless them. And Hannah, quietly, faithfully, would lay her hand on Samuel's head one more time.
May the Lord give you more children in place of the one you gave to him.
And the Lord did. 3 sons, 2 daughters, but none could replace the first one because Samuel was never lost. He was placed, planted, growing, and the child continued to grow in the presence of the Lord. The boy Samuel grew in linen robes, but the sanctuary he walked in was stained. Eli, old and weary, still sat at the entrance of the tabernacle, but his sons, Hophni and Phinehas, mocked the holiness they were born to serve. They stole the fat portions meant for God. They forced worshippers to break sacred customs. They lay with women at the very door of the tent of meeting. And all the while, the people whispered,
Can God still dwell here? Has the Lord departed from Shiloh?
But one voice remained pure. One child bowed low. One soul still listened when all others spoke for themselves. Samuel, He did not shout. He did not fight. He simply served. And the Lord saw an old worshiper muttering,
These sons of Eli, they do not know the Lord. They take what is not theirs. Even the sacrifices are no longer safe.
Then I will give the Lord what is his.
By day, the courts echoed with the clash of defilement. By night, the temple sat silent, as if holding its breath. And Samuel, child of promise, walked between what was and what must be. He swept floors where holy oil once dripped. He lit lamps that others had left to dim. And every act of service whispered louder than 1,000 sermons.
Here I am, Lord.
The lamp of God had not yet gone out, but the darkness pressed closer. The silence of the Lord was not forgetfulness, it was preparation, because soon he would speak again. Night fell on Shiloh, the fires dimmed, the whispers faded, and once again heaven waited. Inside the tabernacle, Eli lay in his chamber, eyes clouded with years, ears dulled by silence. The priest of Israel no longer heard the Lord, but the lamp of God still burned, and Samuel lay nearby, close to the ark, closer still to the voice that had not spoken in so long. Then, in the stillness between dusk and dawn, when time itself holds its breath, a whisper broke through the dark. Samuel.
Here I am. You called me?
I did not call. Go back and lie down.
Again it came, and again. 3 times the Lord called, and 3 times the boy ran to the man who could no longer hear. Then Eli remembered. Long ago, a voice had once called him too, and now it has chosen another. So he told the boy,
If he calls again, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
Samuel returned to his bed. The darkness was deep, but the voice was near, and then the Lord came. He stood there, not in a dream, not in vision, but real, present, calling, Samuel.
Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
Prophetic turn, and the Lord said what had not been said in generations, a word of judgment, a word of truth, a word that would end one house and begin another. I will do something in Israel that will make the ears of all who hear it tingle. I have warned Eli. His sons blasphemed me, and he did not restrain them. Therefore, their guilt shall never be atoned for. And with that, the word of the Lord returned to Israel, not through priests, not through princes, but through a child.
Samuel.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of faith. If you believe these Bible stories can touch hearts, please leave a kind comment, and share this video with your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe to Bible Adventures, where we bring God's Word to life through epic, heartfelt animations for kids and families alike. May you and your family always walk in God's blessings and peace.